In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NHL games happening on January 5th, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NHL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Utah Mammoth versus New York Rangers. The Utah Mammoth head into Madison Square Garden to face the New York Rangers, with both teams having taken 3 wins from their last 5 games overall. That gives this matchup a bit of a coin flip feel on the surface, even if the deeper numbers point in one direction. New York has had a strange split this season at MSG. They sit at the bottom of the Eastern Conference by home points, with only 13 points from 18 home games, which is not what anyone expected from this roster. At the same time, they lead the East with 32 points in 25 away games, so it is not like the talent disappeared. It just has not carried over to their own building consistently. They will absolutely be hoping that their most recent home outing, a 5-1 win over the Florida Panthers, is the start of that correction. That Florida result was much closer to what people thought this Rangers team would be, rather than the quieter average of 2.6 goals per game they have put up across the schedule. It looked more like the version of New York that can roll 4 lines and tilt the ice. Utah comes in with a 10-13-2 record away from home and sits 12th in the Western Conference. They opened the season with some jump, then have slid back hard. They have dropped 5 of their last 8 overall and, in those losses, have only cleared 1 goal once. That is not just a slump, that is the kind of stretch that gets inside a team's head, especially on the road. Here is the thing: a struggling Mammoth attack runs into a Rangers defensive setup that has actually held up. New York has a .905 save percentage on the year, which is solid enough, and that climbs to .933 at 5-on-5. If Igor Shesterkin gets the start, and that is obviously the assumption here, he has been above 90% in 5 of his last 6 appearances. You put a road offense that has been sputtering in front of a goaltender playing at that level, and suddenly the path for Utah becomes very narrow. Honestly, even with the home issues, New York looks like the clearly stronger side. They have the better goaltender, more top-end talent, and Utah has not been close to its Delta Center form away from home. The Rangers have had their hiccups at MSG, sure, but this matchup still leans toward them taking care of business and covering the number rather than slipping again. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Rangers money line is our full game side pick. Utah's offense on paper is not completely broken. The Mammoth are averaging 3.02 goals per game, and they are converting 16.1% of their power play chances. Defensively, they are giving up 2.9 goals per game and killing 81.8% of opposing power plays, which is respectable and keeps a lot of games within reach. The Rangers' scoring profile is a bit different. They are averaging 2.6 goals per game and hitting on 21.2% of their power play opportunities, so their special teams can swing a game when they settle in. On the back end, they allow 2.72 goals per game, and their penalty kill sits at 80.3%, which again keeps them in a fairly controlled, structured environment most nights. Let me explain how that ties into the total. Even though Utah has had stretches where they barely score, their season average of just over 3 goals and a functional power play suggests they can still contribute on the scoreboard, even if it takes a bounce or a rebound goal to get going. New York, for their part, might not rack up eye-catching numbers every night, but with that power play percentage and the confidence from a 5-1 win in their last home start, it is fair to expect them to generate enough quality chances again. So you end up with 2 teams that, across the season, sit right around that 2.5 to 3 goals for and against window on both sides. That kind of profile quietly supports the idea of a game where chances accumulate, especially if special teams see decent time on the ice. Even if Utah's attack does not fully explode, the combination of their season-long numbers and the Rangers' offensive potential gives this matchup a realistic path to enough goals being scored to clear the projected total. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Anaheim Ducks versus Washington Capitals. I have been looking for chances to go against the Capitals during this ugly run because their defense has really fallen apart and the prices still do not quite match how leaky they have been lately. The tricky part is that the Ducks are a mess too, coming in on 5 straight losses with their own defensive issues, so it is not exactly a comfy underdog to lean on. Here is the thing, Anaheim is trying to stop a long losing streak while playing on the road, and that is a tough recipe when you have given up at least 4 goals in 4 straight games. Their record away from home sits at 9-2, which is basically a coin flip, and it does not scream trustworthy road dog against a motivated opponent. Washington, for all their recent struggles, still has a solid mark at home at 12-7-3, and that does matter over a full sample. They have dropped 3 of their last 4, so the frustration is real, but they also have the better situation in net, which gives them a safety net that Anaheim just does not have right now. This spot feels like the classic get-right game, at home, against a team that is also fighting it and leaking chances, and it sets up as a night where the Capitals really have no excuses not to respond. Honestly, it feels like just what the doctor ordered for Washington, a chance to reset in front of their own fans against a vulnerable visitor. I still prefer backing the Caps to straighten things out here rather than trusting a Ducks team that has not shown much resistance in this stretch. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington Capitals money line is our full game side pick. Anaheim comes in trying to stop that long skid, but the bigger red flag for the total is the way their defense has caved in, with at least 4 goals allowed in 4 straight games. The Ducks' 9-2 road record hints that they can hang around, but it also means they end up in plenty of open games where structure goes missing for stretches. Washington at 12-7-3 at home has shown they can score enough in their own building to pull opponents into higher event hockey, especially when the opponent is already reeling. Here is where the recent totals really start to matter. Anaheim has gone over 6.5 goals in 4 straight contests, which tells you their games are turning into track meets, whether they like it or not. Washington has gone over 6.5 in 4 of their last 5 as well, so it is not just one team dragging the other into chaos. Both have been living in that higher goal range lately. So you have one team that cannot keep the puck out right now and another that is also playing in wide-open, high-scoring games, and both patterns point to more of the same. Even if the goaltending edge leans to Washington, the way both defenses are trending suggests chances, rebounds, and odd-man rushes can pile up enough to keep the scoreboard moving. I think we are lined up for another game where 7 or more goals is very much on the table, given the form both clubs bring into this spot. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Detroit Red Wings versus Ottawa Senators. Detroit actually has more points and more overall wins than Ottawa, and both teams sit on 10 wins in their current home and road splits, so on the surface it is easy to think the hosts might be priced a bit too high here. That is usually where people get tempted by the roadside, because the standings and simple win totals look friendlier for the visiting team. Let me explain why that is not the whole story. The Senators come in with back-to-back wins, while the Red Wings are coming off back-to-back losses to Pittsburgh, and that recent form does shape the mood around both locker rooms. Ottawa is also playing its 4th straight game at home, which quietly matters. Since there is no travel hassle, the routines are stable, and the crowd energy becomes a bit of a comfort blanket. On top of that, the Senators have been the side with the more consistent offense lately, and they have been controlling this head-to-head matchup over the last few years, which is not nothing when the jerseys across from you are familiar. Detroit is not in a terrible spot by any stretch, they are just in a tougher one. They are 10-7-3 on the road this year, which is solid, but now they have to respond after those back-to-back losses in another team's building. The Senators also sit at 10-7-3 at home, so they match Detroit's road profile and do it with the added bonus of last change and a crowd that has seen them play better in recent games. There is also the injury note to keep in mind. Ottawa is still dealing with an injury situation for Omar, which could have been a big negative, but even with that wrinkle they have managed to play well against Detroit over the past 2 seasons. Sometimes that specific matchup comfort shows up in small ways, like cleaner exits or more confidence shooting from certain spots, and it can give the home side that extra bit of belief, especially when they are the ones riding a small winning streak. So while the Red Wings may look slightly undervalued at first glance because of their points and overall win total, the combination of Ottawa's recent home stretch, their offense trending more steadily, and their strong history against Detroit tilts this particular spot toward the Senators doing the job on home ice. As our first pick for this matchup, the Ottawa Senators money line is our full game side pick. Ottawa's offensive profile is pretty clear. The Senators are averaging 3.25 goals per game, and they are scoring on 25% of their power play opportunities. Defensively, they are allowing 3.23 goals per game, and they are killing 72.6% of their opponents' power plays. That penalty kill number is a bit shaky, and that is where things often open up. When a team can score at a strong clip and also gives up chances because the kill is unreliable, you tend to get those back and forth stretches where both sides trade looks. Detroit is not exactly shy in the attacking zone either. Offensively, the Red Wings are averaging 3 goals per game, and they are converting 24.8% of their power play chances, so their top units can absolutely punish a loose shift. Defensively, they are allowing 3.16 goals per game, and they are killing 80.5% of their opponents' power plays. So you are looking at one team that scores a bit more but gives up a bit more, and another that sits just a touch lower on both sides of the ledger, and that blend often creates the kind of game where momentum swings and special teams play a big role. If the Senators keep driving offense like they have been and the Red Wings bring their usual 3-goal potential, you do not need anything wild or out of character for this matchup to land in a range where multiple goals for each side feel normal. Throw in the fact that both power plays are operating around that mid-20s success rate, and you have another path for the total to creep upward through a couple of timely man advantage goals. All of that points toward a matchup where the offensive talent and the defensive numbers together support a higher scoring script rather than a tight, low-event grind, which lines up with backing the game to go over the projected number. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Seattle Kraken versus Calgary Flames. Calgary is playing good hockey right now, and at home they probably deserve the benefit of the doubt, especially with those 12 wins in their own building. They look like the more comfortable side in their own rink, which gives them that built-in edge in a spot like this. Still, the gap between these two teams does not really feel as big as the market is suggesting. Seattle has picked up points in each of its last 7 games, and that kind of run gives a team a bit of swagger, even when it goes into a tough barn like this. During this stretch, the Kraken defense has been described as much better, and the results have supported that feel in terms of structure, even though it has come in a slightly odd way. They have allowed at least 3 goals in each of their last 7 games, which sounds rough at first read, but within the context of how they are competing, it has still marked an improvement from their worst stretches. On top of that, the Kraken have had pretty decent success on the road this season, so this is not a group that folds just because the crowd is against them. You are also getting close to 1.5 times your money backing a Seattle team that is on a hot run, which adds a bit of appeal when the form arrow is pointing in their direction. So even with Calgary in good shape at home, it is very reasonable to lean toward the Kraken as the side that offers more value in this matchup. As our first pick for this matchup, the Seattle Kraken money line is our full game side pick. Calgary gets the comfort of home ice again, and their 12-6-2 home record shows they handle their own rink pretty well. Seattle, on the other hand, sits at 9-7-3 on the road, which is solid enough to suggest they will not be overwhelmed by the setting. Seattle has won 6 of its last 7 games and has scored 4 goals in 3 of its last 4 outings, so their offense is clearly feeling it. Calgary has also taken 3 of its last 4 games, and in each of those wins, has held opponents to 2 goals or fewer, which hints at a defensive focus when they are in control. Those two trends push in different directions at first glance, one toward goals and one toward suppression, but together, they actually suggest a game where quality matters more than pure chaos. If Calgary can keep that defensive standard at home and continue to limit chances when they are ahead, it naturally pulls the total toward a tighter outcome. At the same time, Seattle's recent scoring run shows they can threaten, but they are facing a team that has shown it can clamp down when it gets its structure right. Add all of that up and you get a matchup that feels more likely to settle into a controlled, competitive rhythm rather than a track meet, which supports a lower scoring result overall. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Minnesota Wild versus Los Angeles Kings. Same opponent, same rink, fresh emotions. A quick rematch is funny like that. It turns a normal game into a little courtroom drama where both sides think they've already proved their case. Los Angeles got the shootout win last time, and that kind of finish can leave 2 very different aftertastes. One team walks out feeling validated, the other walks out feeling robbed. And honestly, robbed is a powerful fuel when you get another crack at the same problem right away. Minnesota has lived in those tense, coin flip nights lately, and that matters because comfort and discomfort is a real thing, like a project team that stays calm when the deadline starts growling. They don't need everything to be clean and pretty, they just need enough sequences where a harmless moment turns into real pressure before the other side can reset. Los Angeles, meanwhile, can look like two philosophies stitched together, part patient and responsible, part ready to turn the game into a street fight the second it gets loud. That blend can work, but it can also get wobbly when the rhythm changes, especially if a key winger isn't quite available to steady the lines and smooth the transitions. And when the matchup is this familiar, I lean toward the side that's more comfortable turning not our night into still our points, because that's usually the team that stays sharp when the game stops being polite. As our first pick for this matchup, the Minnesota Wild to win as underdogs is our full game side pick. The chances don't always come one at a time, they come in little waves, and the momentum swings can show up fast, like one sloppy sequence and suddenly everybody's chasing. When teams run it back this quickly, the second meeting can get cleaner in some spots, fewer freebies, fewer brain cramps, a bit more structure. But it can also get looser in the ways that actually push goals, quicker looks off the rush, more direct attacks, and a little extra chaos because both benches think they found something last game. Power plays matter in this kind of setup too, not as a stats lecture, but as a mood shift. One sharp sequence and the whole building starts buzzing, and then you get those scrambly rebounds that feel inevitable. If the crease situation tilts even slightly away from the top choice, that one extra goal you need stops feeling like a huge ask and starts feeling like the natural result of a game that keeps generating second and third looks. And when the posted number sits in that polite range that assumes control, I'd rather respect the version of this matchup that refuses to stay tidy, because these two already showed they can get weird. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.